On this video, I'm going to talk to you about just get rich first. Three things that are keeping you broke that you must stop doing today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but today. And see, what most people don't realize is getting rich isn't about how hard you work. I mean, hard work is important because it makes you a better person. Like anything that you do that's hard makes you better, and it makes the thing that's hard today easier tomorrow. But hard work is not the key to success, it's the key to exhaustion. And you don't want to work hard for hard work's sake. It's about doing right things in the right order in order to get rich. Now, one of the things that I see people doing is they get things out of order. And the first thing you got to do is you have to postpone the performance. So you have to stop looking rich before you are rich. One of the biggest things that keeps people broke is attempting to impress people with stuff. It literally doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm going to draw something on the board, but before I do, I'm going to make an assertion, and the assertion that I'm going to make is going to be probably offensive to some. It's not my intention to offend, but if it offends, that's what it does. Only until it helps you if you just at least entertain the possibility that it might be correct. And that is that we live in an era where it's easier to create wealth than it's ever been in human history. But it feels so hard. Why does it feel hard? The reason it feels so hard is because the more technology advances, the less time we have to tool up for the new advance. So we find ourselves stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck, beautifully educated to earn a living in a world that no longer exists. And so many of the things that you've been preparing yourself for your whole life, I don't know another way to say it, they just don't matter. They don't matter anymore. It's amazing. I mean, we have a business that does, 10, 15, $18 million a year, depending on the year. It's doing okay. But if I keep doing what I've been doing to make 10, 15, 18 million a year, it'll eventually turn into 2 or 3 million a year. And then it might turn into 900,000 a year. And then it'll turn into 300,000 a year. If I think I can just keep doing what I've always done just because it's always worked, I have to change with the times. And the problem that many people have is they don't feel like they have enough time to change with the times. Because there was a time when it was true that the abundance of wealth belonged to the specialist who knew the most about one thing. But we live in an era where the wealth belongs more to the generalist who can learn the most new things the fastest. And so you got to be like you got to be willing to learn new things really, really fast. And you got to train your brain to learn new things really, really fast. And then you got to take action really, really fast. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind, and you're going to get started on day 975 when the trend has already moved into a totally different place. So, pause before you purchase. Now, I want you, everybody watching me out there in the YouTube sphere, everybody in this room, I want you to look at yourself and see how you prioritize the money that you make and how you prioritize the money that you spend. I became aware of what I'm about to say in 1999, and that's when my whole life changed. 1999 was a very pivotal year for me. It was my first six-figure year in my life after being an entrepreneur for 14 years. 1999 was my first six-figure year. And we didn't have we had the internet, but it wasn't the internet. You know what I'm saying? It was bulletin boards and Prodigy and CompuServe, right? And there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no such thing as an influencer, there was no Amazon. Imagine that. AI, no. Okay. So I learned back then that making money like, you don't get rich because you make more money. Most people think if I could just make more money, I'd be rich. No, if you make more money, you'd just be broke at a higher level unless you change how you think about money. What makes you rich is your perception about the purpose of money. That's what makes you rich, poor, or middle class. Your perception about the purpose of money. And so, I asked myself, what was my perception? And when I was poor, my perception was, and I know it's in my Trash Man to Cash Man book, and I know I draw it a lot, but one of the things I notice about people who really do well at anything in life, they master the fundamentals. Like, people want to get good at all of the extra stuff. People want to be a good guitar player, and they don't even know chord progressions and the basic pentatonic scale, right? Or the basic chromatic scale. You might do the basics. They don't use a metronome when they practice, and so they can play anything, but their timing's always off, right? The fundamentals make all the difference. And so when we look at the difference between rich people, poor people, middle class people, this is how I think about it. And I don't know, how I think about it is at least beneficial to me, and might be beneficial to you if you start thinking about it this way, this is your financial house. That's the door, okay? That's the door. These are the windows in your financial house. This is your income window. Most people get their income from their job. Now, people think whether they're rich or poor is determined by this. It's not. Not at all. I believe that I could get a minimum wage job, and utilizing my perception of the purpose of money at a minimum wage job, I could get rich. Why? Because poor people think the primary, by the way, this is the income window, this is the outgo window. So poor people, they believe that, this is poor, they believe that the primary purpose of money is to pay bills. That's the primary purpose. Secondary purpose of money is to look rich. And what happens is all of the money comes into the income window, goes out through the outgo window. And you can tell if somebody's poor if you just ask them how they like your job. How do you like your job? If they say, well, I got to pay the bills. See, we don't even understand how our language betrays our thoughts. Well, I got to pay the bills. When somebody says, I got to pay the bills, that tells me that you think the primary purpose of money is to pay bills, and the primary purpose of having a job is to make enough money to pay the bills. So they think they're poor because their job doesn't pay them enough, but they're really poor because they think of money as a tool for paying bills. And they say, well, money is a tool for paying bills. It is, but that's only one of the purposes for money. And I submit to you that thinking that's the primary purpose will keep you broke as a joke and ready to choke for the rest of your life. So, what about middle class people? Well, middle class people, they don't just pay their bills, they pay their bills on time. And they think, I'm going to do middle class, and they think the primary purpose of money is to establish good credit so they can buy things they can't afford, okay? And then, so it comes down to their wealth reducing liabilities window and goes out the outgo window in the form of debt. And so they're borrowing money to buy things they can't afford, to look like they have something they don't have, to impress people they don't know, and some of them they don't like, and the people they're attempting to impress don't even care. And this is why middle class people stay middle class, because they think the primary purpose of money is to establish good credit so they can live the life of their dreams. Rich people focus on this window. I literally, when I started focusing on this window, my life changed. I didn't do anything else. I didn't have a vision board. I didn't have goals that were written down that I read out loud 7 times a day. I just said, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those. I'm not saying there's something wrong with those things. I'm just saying I didn't do those things. The one thing that I did that changed my life forever in 1999 was I started focusing on my income-producing assets. And I sat down and I asked myself, what income-producing assets do I have? I need to focus more of my intention and more of my attention on my income-producing assets. I had two. I had my tape ministry because I was a traveling evangelist, and so I would sell my preaching tapes for $5. Right? When I go to churches and speak, they could buy my. So, church gave me an offering. People bought tapes. But I'd always have a lot of tapes, and then I'd make tape series. And if it had 4 tapes in it, I'd sell it for $20. If it had 8 tapes, I'd sell it for $40. Right? And so I was. That's not taking. I had to buy the tapes. I had to buy the machines. There were a lot of work went into that. But I had that, and I had my network marketing business. Those were my 2 assets that I had. So I started really hyper focusing on taking some of my money and putting it over here, some of my money putting it down here because I was middle class, and then some of my money just going out to pay bills. But I started building assets. So I had an asset. Then I had another asset. Then eventually I had another asset. And eventually I had another asset. And eventually I had another asset. Now when you first start putting money into your income producing assets window, like you start putting money in your income producing asset window when you first start doing it, you know what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. That income producing asset window just sits there and looks at you. Like, now what, bruh? Right? Nothing happens. And because the powers that be, the principalities and powers and rulers of darkness in this world, they know how addicted to a paycheck we are. And so it is very hard in America, maybe not in other countries, but at least in America, it's very hard for Americans to work on anything for a very long period of time that doesn't give them the immediate gratification of a paycheck. You write a book. Let's say it takes you 6 months to write the book. It takes you another 3 months to get it edited, designed, laid out, illustrated, blah, blah, blah. So now you got 9 months into the book. You worked on this book for 9 months and it's made you no money. But you had to pay editors and you had to pay graphic designers and it's like, but what if it, and then you got this little voice in your head, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? Right? And it's like Heckle and Jekyll in your mind, just like, right? And so then what happens is you stop putting money into your income producing asset window. And then you start taking money out of your income producing asset window to do these things, and you wonder why you stay broke. Is what I'm saying making some sense? Okay. But what happened for me was I just kept doing this. And this window kept getting bigger. And guess what happened? Eventually, this window started putting money back into my income window. I'm like, ah. And then it put more money into my income window. And then it put more, and then I got to the place where my income producing assets took care of all the bills. And my income producing asset paid off all my debt. So eventually, if this window gets to the place where it's the largest window in your house, it can literally pay you, pay off your debt, and pay all your bills. I'm like, This diagram that I just drew for you changed my life. So I want you to think about this in light of what I'm talking about right now, okay? Now I know some of you are, but I've already seen that before. Right, okay, that's great that you've seen it. For those of you in the YouTube sphere, for those of you in the room, how many of you are doing it though? How many of you are actively focused on your income producing asset? I think about my book From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, which I wrote in 2006, 20 years ago. Now, when I first wrote the book, it didn't make me no money. Didn't make me no money at all. Nothing. Big, fat, juicy goose egg. But now, 20 years later, it's still making me money. That book made me $81,000 in the last year for work I did 20 years ago. Now, I never had a job where I made $81,000 working for it. I wrote this book one time. How many times? One. How many? One. And 20 years later, it's paying me $81,000 a year. Now, I might be crazy, but I ain't stupid. So guess what I did? I wrote another book. I wrote Boss Moves 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Now, how many of y'all would like to be getting paid 5 years from now on work you do today? Well, the only work that'll pay you 5 years from now is the work you do on building assets for your income producing asset window. Now, the Boss Moves book, that book funnel has made me $180,000 in the last year. I don't run ads to the books. I don't run any, none. I don't run ads to the books. I almost never mention them. Hey, go buy my book. And like on a video, like, hey, subscribe to my channel and buy my book. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but I'm not doing it. But people are finding my content online. They like it. They research. They're like, I wonder what else he has. I wonder what else he has. Oh, he's got a book. I'll buy the book. Oh, he got another book. I'll buy the book. Okay, $261,000. Now, here's what $261,000 does. A lot of good. Every extra $261,000 helps, I always say. But guess what? Those are only 2 of my assets. And they're 2 like they're not even core product assets. I mean, they kind of are, but like they're less, both of them are less than $40. I've got assets that are $299. I got assets that are $500, $700. I've got assets that are $5,000, $27,000, $55,000, $375,000, $1 million assets that I sell. And so I'm not saying that to brag or make you think I'm all that. I'm just a dude doing a thing. But I'm doing the thing. You think it's because he's the dude. No, it's because he's doing the thing. Okay? So the first thing you got to stop doing is you got to stop trying to look rich before you get rich. Getting rich is not about looking rich. Stop looking rich before you get rich. Poverty is a psychology before it's a situation. And this is this psychology right here. Boom, 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 boom. Staying in that's. See, I like principles because principles are like guardrails. They're like seat belts. They're like airbags. They protect you from coming catastrophe. And they always work. Okay, so performing to look wealthy postpones prosperity permanently. You're making less than I don't even know what average income is. So I don't know because I'm kind of in my own Myron bubble. But let's say the average income is $120,000. Let's say you're making less than $120,000. It does not make sense for you to have Louis Vuitton shoes. It's stupid. I'm not saying you're stupid. That's not a good idea. That's money stupid. You don't like you're making less than $120,000 a year. You don't need a used Mercedes because it costs more to own a Mercedes than it does to buy one, or a BMW, or a Rolls Royce, or a Lamborghini. Let all that stuff go. Who cares what somebody thinks? I have nice cars. I have nice high-end cars. But my assets pay for them. I don't pay for them. My assets pay for my life. My assets pay for everything I buy and pay off all my debt and pay all my bills. I'm like when I buy a nice car or a nice piece of clothing or a custom suit or whatever, or fly private or whatever I'm doing that to reward me for doing this. I'm not doing it to prove anything to anybody. So, your perception of this is going to precede your prosperity. Is what I'm saying making sense? You have to get this etched into your DNA. I don't care about looking rich. Sam Walton was the richest man in the world. He drove an old beat-up pickup truck, wore bib overalls, and a snapback cap. Richest man in the world. He was so rich, when he died, he split his wealth up between his descendants, his dependents. I said descendants, dependents. His wife and his 5 kids. They became the five kids, second, third, fourth, fifth, and 6th wealthiest people in the world. Second to Bill Gates, with his wealth split up. Why? Because Sam Walton didn't care about looking rich. He cared about being rich. So, postpone the performance. You can't perform your way to prosperity. You have to produce your way to prosperity. I had to produce my way to prosperity. Broke people buy things to feel rich. Rich people buy things to get rich and because we are rich. We don't buy things to look rich. I don't need to look rich. I could easily drive like a Toyota Tacoma. You say, why do you say Toyota? I don't know. I like that pickup truck. And I like pickup trucks because, they're all manly and stuff. Okay, anyway. So that's the first thing. Everybody with me? Like, stop performing. Okay. Next. Stop acquiring the wrong acquisitions at the wrong time. Pause before you purchase. The problem with premature purchases is they burn the cash that could be used to build cash flow. See, when you take some money that you could put into an asset and you buy a thing with it, the thing is not making you the money. That's not the bad part. The bad part is if you would have put it into the income producing asset, eventually it would have paid you. But now it's not in there. And one of the things I said in my Trash Man to Cash Man book is, when I make some money, I want to hold on to it long enough for it to get pregnant and have some babies. And I never spend the mama money, I only spend the baby money. I only spend the money my money makes me. Wouldn't you like to get to the place in your life where you only spend the money your money makes? But the money you make, you put it into your money income generation machine. That's the goal. The goal is not a Rolls Royce. The goal is not a Lamborghini. The goal is not a Louis Vuitton pair of shoes. The goal is not a custom suit or flying private. The goal is having your assets produce so much wealth, you don't have time to spend it all in your lifetime, so you have generational wealth to pass down to your children. So pause before you purchase. And I'm going to give you some purchases that people, like knowing what I know now, I would have done my life differently. Okay? Because people always want to, if you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self or your 25-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? Well, I'd say, you're going to get rich. Do it sooner rather than later so you get to enjoy it longer. Right? So here's my advice to everybody watching me right now. Just get rich first. Of all the things you got on your agenda, put them all on the back burner except one thing. Get rich first. You say, but Myron, money's not the most important thing in the world. You're right, it's not. But it is right up there with oxygen. You got to have it every day to live, and if you don't have enough, you feel like you can't breathe. Can I get a witness? Right? Now, money's not the most important thing in the world. But you know what's really amazing? Having a choice. Not having money be your master that tells you no every time you desire to do something. Because what is a master? A master is something that controls you. And I found out that money controlled me way more when I didn't have any than it does now that I got plenty. So, premature purchase of a house. Wrong answer, but we do have some nice consolation prizes for you in the back. Car, diploma, wedding, house, etc. Stop it. Stop it. Stop buying all this stuff prematurely to anesthetize yourself from the fact that you know your life isn't working. Stop it. Don't let your dream car create a nightmare for your cash flow. Dream car? If I'm broke, I don't need to be dreaming about a car. No. Wow. I'm sorry. Like, I'm 64. I'll be 65 next month. My dream car has been, since I was 17 years old, a 1968 Pontiac GTO. That has been my dream car since I was 17. You know when I bought one? When I was about 62. I bought that car. Why? Because it wasn't worth sacrificing my future on the altar of a dream car. Or a dream house. Don't let your dream house become your doomed house of horrors because you spent too much money too soon and it causes you to implode. Now, I can speak to this. I can speak to this up close and personal. Because back when I was making, $100,000 a month, sometimes even more, I thought I was rich. I'm being very transparent. And I didn't realize that one economic shift could wipe me out. Like, you're making $150,000, sometimes gust up to $250,000 a month, and you think you're rich. And so what did I do? I upgraded my lifestyle too soon. I thought I waited, and I waited a long time. I waited like 7 years to upgrade my lifestyle. I got plenty of money in the bank. I'm making plenty of money. I had $3,300 a month in car payments. What's $3,300 a month to $100,000 a month? Nothing. My mortgage was $8,400 a month. What's $8,400 a month? Nothing. I had employees, I had payroll, nothing. Until they created the Great Recession, and the people who paid me stopped buying and stopped paying. And the ones who still owed me money stopped paying. Then all those payments that you prematurely purchased creep up on you. See, then I ended up having to sell my house that I bought for $1,027,000 for like $636,000. How many of y'all tracking? I'm like, And that was an economic pain for the next 7 years. Like, never again. Never again. See, everything I own now, they create a Great Recession again. Guess what? I can go pay it all off. Everything. And I still borrow money. You say, why do you borrow money? I borrow money because I can use the bank's money cheaper than I can use mine. But they can crash. I mean, I hope they don't, but if they crash everything, like I can pay off all of my houses. I can pay off all of my, I only have car payments on 2 cars, but I can, or 1 car. I don't know, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I can pay it all off and still not have to worry about money. That's this. Stop buying things prematurely because it makes you feel good. Like, I'll get to that in a minute. Degrees. A college degree. By the time you graduate, everything you learned is obsolete, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a medical doctor or an engineer. Like, people go to school and get degrees. They don't go to college to pay thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get degrees and stuff that they don't even know how they're going to be able to use it to get a job, to pay off the debt that they use to pay for their education. It doesn't make any sense. It's an intentional trap to keep people broke because people who are broke are easier to control. I don't have any opinions. If I did, I'd never voice them publicly, as you well know. Don't let your degree become your downfall that forces you to wait tables for the next 20 years because you have to pay back the loans for the degree that you aren't using because the technology made the job you were preparing for obsolete. Is that real talk? Most of the servers in high-end restaurants have college degrees. And they've determined that the maximum amount of money they can make is by waiting tables. Now, the maximum amount of money they could make would actually be by a full commission sales job. But that makes people feel uncomfortable. So they wait tables. Don't let your dream wedding become your debilitating weakness because you invested more in the intention into the wedding than you did into the marriage. People spend all this money on this. People spend all this money on a wedding. All this time, all this effort, all this energy, put no time, effort, energy, or money into the marriage before they get married. In learning how to live with another human being who's going to eventually think you're crazy and you're going to eventually think they're crazy. Oh, it's coming. Why are they like this? I thought they were normal. That's because they made themselves look normal so you would marry them. Okay. You know who's laughing? The married people. Yeah, oh boy, here we go. Just understand this. Purchasing power belongs to those who produce first, not to those who perform first. Key insight. Every major purchase you make before you're rich is a wall between you and the wealth that you are seeking. Every major purchase that you purchase before you create wealth is a wall between you and the wealth that you're seeking. Maybe that's why Proverbs 24:27 says, prepare thy work without, make it fit for yourself in the field. And the reason it said in the field is because, like, the economic infrastructure of the world was based on agriculture then. Make it fit for thyself in the field. Afterwards, build thine house. Are y'all tracking? Y'all with me? Okay. By the way, that was written over 3,000 years ago. Your house may have made you house rich, but it probably made you cash poor. Unless you did it like this. Like, I don't know that there's any financial advice I can give you that's better than focus on your income producing asset window and focus on filling your income producing asset window with assets that pay you on the consistent basis so you can get to the point where your income producing asset window pays for everything in your life. Best financial advice I can give you. And I'm not talking about savings. Savings is fine. I'm talking about putting money into something that's going to put money in your pocket eventually. Okay. Now, point number 3. Stop rewarding yourself for boredom. Produce before you play. See, what people want to do is they want to buy vacations, pay for celebrations, have parties to make themselves feel good, to take away the pain of the struggle of their life. Stop it. Stop it. Play before production is poverty's playground. That's where poverty hangs out. You want to go on a cruise because you're bored. You want to go on a cruise. I've just been working so hard lately and I'm feeling so exhausted. I'm going to do something for myself. Here's my credit card. And you put a vacation on a credit card that you don't pay off every month. There's nothing wrong with putting a vacation on a credit card. I put my vacation on a credit card. But I pay it off every month. Every month. I pay off all my credit cards every month. All of them. And it doesn't matter if I put 200,000 or 500,000 or 600,000 on my credit cards. I pay them off every month. You say, well, if you're going to pay them off every month, why do you put it on your credit card? Points. Okay. Points. Let's don't be confused. Credit card companies, that's why I don't ever use a debit card for anything. I have it in my phone so when I go to the bank, I can identify myself. Debit card. Mine not what a debit. What? Okay. It just doesn't make sense. Vacationing while broke is borrowing from a future that you will never have because you borrowed from it. I remember when we used to take vacations when I had a job, and we'd get in the car with my wife and my 3 kids, and we would drive from Pennsylvania to Texas to visit my wife's family. We'd take 2 days to get there, 2 days to get back, so we'd have 10 days there. That was vacation. Every year. Now, that's not vacation anymore. I mean, we still go visit my wife's family, but that's not vacation. Vacation is when we go to the DR, we go to South Africa, or we go to Spain or Hawaii for a month. The first time we went to Hawaii, we went for a month. But that window paid for it. Are y'all picking up? And by the way, when you get to the point you're letting this pay for your stuff, the stuff this can pay for is way more than the stuff that you, through this state in this cycle, will ever be able to afford. Like this building this window is worth the wait. I promise you, it's worth the wait. So, produce before you play. It just doesn't make any sense. If you need a vacation from your life, the problem isn't your life. The problem is your order of operations. You've prioritized the wrong thing in this house. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to make a couple of statements. Then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to make 4 statements. I'm going to make 5. You ready? Number 1, you can't get rich in the wrong order. You can only get tired. So prioritize your life. That's number 1. You can't get rich in the wrong order. It's not possible. You've got to do first things first. You can't do last things first and expect to get rich. Number 2, order of operations isn't a math rule, it's a wealth rule. You have to do the right things first, or you're going to stay broke. And maybe you're not broke, but you're going to stay not rich. Okay? Most people are only one decision away from wealth. And that decision is to do first things first. Is what I'm saying making sense? Okay. God gave us the formula. Y'all want to know the formula God gave us? But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. All what things? All the things that other people worry about will be added to you. They'll be the bonus. Hey, can I tell you something? Coming from a guy who makes millions of dollars, the money's just a bonus. Now, when it says seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, what is the kingdom of God? I believe that the kingdom of God kingdom is a compound word which means the king's dominion. So I make my life the dominion over which the king reigns, which means I yield myself to God as the sovereign king of my life. When I do that, guess what he does? He makes me the king over an assignment that only I can fulfill. And as long as I allow God and yield to God as the sovereign king of my life, my assignment has to yield to me. When I resist God's assignment, my assignment resists me. Because my assignment is always going to be under God's authority. So if I refuse to be under God's authority, my assignment is no longer under me. Y'all tracking? And so that's the first part. Yield to God as sovereign king of my life. Second part is God makes me the king over an assignment. And then the third part is I use the assignment that God made me king over to serve other people. That's the whole thing. That's the whole picture. That's it. And then what does it say? And all these things shall be added unto you. See, people say, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these things will be added unto you. And the people who say it like that, they leave off the part where it says all these things, what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink. It'll be added unto you. It's the bonus. It's the bonus. I'm not working so I can have a bunch of stuff. I'm working so I can serve a bunch of people at the highest possible level. The benefit of that is I make a lot of money and have a lot of stuff. But that's not the real impact. The real impact is the serving of other people. That's the whole point. Why? Because that's what God's interested in. So that's what he desires us to be interested in. It's so simple, yet so powerful, yet most people don't do it. The last one is stop being responsible for everyone's, or feeling responsible, I should say. Stop feeling responsible for everyone's opinion of your success and start being responsible for obtaining your success. Get to the place in your life where you don't need anybody to think anything about you. It's kind of like it says about Jesus, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God. He knew who he was. But even though he knew who he was, and he knew he was God, it says, but he made himself of no reputation. See, we're too busy trying to make ourselves a reputation. But promotion doesn't come from the east, and it doesn't come from the west. It doesn't come from the north, and it doesn't come from the south. Promotion comes from above. Who does God promote? God exalteth the humble, but resisteth the proud. It's so simple. And it all says the same thing over and over and over again in different ways, and we still miss it. Okay, 3 questions. Y'all ready? What did you buy in the last 2 years before you had the asset paying for it? Before you had your income-producing asset windows paying for it? I'm not so that you can feel bad about it, but so you can not do it again, so you can stop it. Okay? That's a priority question. The next question is a performance question. What percentage of your spending is about building your income-producing asset window versus your wealth-reducing liabilities window that makes you look rich while it's making you become poorer? What percentage of your income are you putting into your income-producing asset window rather than your wealth-reducing liability window? So that's a performance question. The last question is a production question. What is the one thing that you are going to do this week? The one thing that you're going to do this week to generate $1 in your business. If you already generated $1, generate 10. If you already generated 10, generate 100. If you already generated 100, generate 1,000. If you already generated 1,000, generate 10,000. What's the one thing you're going to do in your business this week to generate $1? Not prepare to generate $1, not build a brand that can generate $1, actually go make a sale. I think if you figure that out, you're going to be on the right track, baby. So, you say, Myron, what's your point? Before you take a great vacation, before you go buy a new wardrobe, before you go buy your dream car, your dream house, or your dream whatever, wake up and just get rich first. It'll be the move that you will make that will make you glad for the rest of your life that you made that move. Stop getting ready to get ready. Get in the game and just get rich first. I hope this video helps you. Stay blessed by the best, and we'll look forward to seeing you and you on the next video. Bye for now.